Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, members of the gallery, to the first ordinary meeting of the new council for 24 to 28. My name's Gary Wallace. I'm the General Manager and the Returning Officer to start tonight's proceedings. Firstly, congratulations, councillors, on your election. I'm sure the next 4 years will be exciting and can't wait to dip into that as we move forward. This meeting will be live streamed via the Teams webinar facilities. Recordings of council meetings or parts thereof cannot be copied, recorded, reproduced, reused, or transmitted without the prior written consent of the General Manager. The meeting will be recorded and made publicly available on council's website. Persons attending the meeting should refrain from making any defamatory statements. Part two is, I'd also like to acknowledge that the meeting is being held on the traditional lands of the Wiradjuri, Gundungurra and Darug people and respects the history and culture of the elders, both past and present. Councillor McCarthy has kindly indicated that he would preside over the prayer for this evening, so if everyone can stand.
Dear Lord, we are gathered here tonight in the Oberon Council chambers to carry out the business the people, residents of Oberon community wish us to have input into. I ask that everyone treated each other with respect and we get on and look after the residents of Oberon. Anyway, thank you very much. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. The record of attendance is there's nil leave of absence. Everyone's available. I'll move 4.2 of the agenda, which is the affirmation or oath of councillors. There is a recommendation there, councillors. The council note the council took an oath of affirmation, an oath or affirmation of the office at the commencement of the meeting, and that all councillors sign an oath or affirmation document confirming their pledge. For councillors, this would mean that you would simply stand up, read your oath or affirmation, sign it and present it. Do I get a mover? Councillor Hayden, Councillor Kibben. I'm happy to go around the table. Councillor Tucker.
I, Councillor Ian Tucker, solemnly and sincerely declare and affirm that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of the Oberon local government area and the Oberon Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment.
Thank you. I, Councillor Andrew McKibben, solemnly and sincerely declare and affirm that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of the Oberon local government area and the Oberon Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment.
I, Councillor Anthony Alevras, solemnly and sincerely declare and affirm that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interest of the people of Oberon local government area and the local and Oberon Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act of 1993 or any other act in the best of my ability and judgment.
I, Councillor Helen Hayden, swear that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of the Oberon local government area and the Oberon Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment.
I, Clive McCarthy, swear that I will undertake the duties of office of councillor in the best interest of the people of Oberon local government area in the Oberon Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers and authority discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act of 1993 and any other act to the best of my ability and judgment.
I, Councillor Frank O'Connor, swear that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interest of the people of Oberon Local Government Area and the Oberon Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment.
I, Councillor Jill O'Grady, solemnly and sincerely declare and affirm that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of the Oberon Local Government Area and the Oberon Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment.
I, Councillor Lauren Trembath, swear that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of the Oberon Local Government Area and the Oberon Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment.
I, Councillor Katie Graham, solemnly and sincerely declare and affirm that I'll undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of the Oberon Local Government Area and the Oberon Council, that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment.
With those undertaking, I'd like to put that motion as it is. Those for, against, carried. Move on, thank you. 4.3 is the election of the mayor and deputy mayor. Councillors, there's a recommendation that if an election is required, the positions of mayor and deputy mayor, then the election be held by an open voting in accordance with council's model code. Do I have a mover? Councillor Hayden, do I have a seconder? Councillor Alvarez, sorry. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'd like to move that we vote with a show of hands, and I'd like to move that we elect the mayor and deputy mayor.
Councillor Libris. Okay. Any other commentary from councillors?
I'd like
Councillor
to
Trimble?
not be a show of hands. I'd like to be,
So an amendment
and I'd like an amendment to that.
as a closed
Mhm.
vote. I have an amendment from Councillor Trembath that the election be done by a closed method. Do I have a seconder? I have a mover and a seconder. I'll deal with the amendment. Councillor Trembath.
I just think it's a fair way to do it, and it gives us confidentiality around our thinking, and there's no we did it the same way last time. I think Councillor Tucker has supported me in this amendment as to the reasoning behind it. It's not unusual to do it this way, so that's my preference.
Councillor Tucker.
Thank you. Yeah, in most things that we deal with, we do it by open voting, and of course all votes are recorded. I think this is a little bit different in the nature of the vote. It's more of an internal political thing amongst the councillors. So I think it's reasonable that we should be able to do it confidentially. So I support the amendment.
I'll just, Councillor,
I would support Ian Tucker in that motion too.
anyone who can, Councillor Hayden.
I would like to speak against the amendment due to the fact that the community rely on us and put faith and trust in us and have elected us to the to be part of the governing body. And I do believe that in transparency and openness, and other councillors within the region have been electing to do it with a show of hands to show transparency. And I would like to speak against the amendment for that reason.
Do I have another councillor against the amendment?
For the same reasons, in my opinion, for council transparency.
So I've had 2 speakers for or 2 speakers against. I'm quite happy to put the amendment as written, that we undertake the event via closed. Show of hands. Those against. The amendment now becomes the motion. The motion is that we do it by a closed method. All those in favour? Those against? Would you like it recorded?
Please record.
Thank you, councillors. That helps. So we move now into the process of undertaking the election of a mayor and deputy mayor by the closed voting method. At this point in time, I have 2 nominations for the position of mayor. I will ask if there's any other prior to moving forward. Given there are no others, we will move forward with a secret ballot for the position of mayor. I have 2 nominations as indicated, one from Councillor Frank O'Connor and one from Councillor Andrew McKibben. As part of the process of the election of a mayor, because it's done by ballot, we now have to draw to put preference on the ballot paper for councillors to consider. I've pre-written 2 names. In fact, I've pre-written 9 names, but I've got 2 that will go into the barrel. I'll hold them up and put them into.
As returning officer, you should be initialing that.
Happy to initial. This is only for the preference of how they sit in the ballot. So both are in. Councillors can view those if they would like. If not, I'll ask Matt to shake them up. Number 1 on the ballot will be Councillor Andrew McKibben. Number 2. Number 2 will be Councillor Frank O'Connor. We have prepared, but we just need to have them printed off for us so we can undertake the vote as recorded. We tried to find out as many ways as we possibly could to do it any quicker than what we have, but unfortunately this is the way that we have to undertake it.
No, just me.
So. Either given. They'll come in. We toss it. I think you will need one distribution.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Whoever wins, I assume there may be a hard copy of the papers there to whoever wins out of bracket. Just makes it easier.
More than happy to provide.
Because the speed of the, sometimes hard to keep up.
Could I ask that you vote for your candidate with an X in the box? X, 1X. So that, you just start it collected.
Maybe.
Yes.
That's the initial decision.
Apart from Karen's.
The votes have now been tallied. Councillor Andrew McKibben has the highest number of votes, and I declare that Andrew McKibben is elected Mayor of Oberon Council for the ensuing 2 years. Congratulations. We will now move on to vote for the position of Deputy Mayor. At this point in time, I have 4 nominations for Deputy Mayor. At this point in time, do I have any other?
Let's all go for it.
If that's not occurring, I will indicate that Councillor Ian Tucker, Councillor Frank O'Connor, Councillor Katie Graham and Councillor Helen Hayden have all nominated for the position of Deputy Mayor. Similar to that of the mayoral election, we will place in a barrel all names and draw them individually to indicate the ballot sequence. At this point, while Matt is shaking the votes, there are 4 candidates. In any event of a tie in the lowest count, those 2 lowest members will be drawn out of the hat again, and that person who is drawn out of the hat will be excluded, and then a future vote will occur. So the vote will continue until there are only 2 candidates left in the race, in which that's times if the vote is tied, it will be pulled out of a hat again, and that person who's pulled out will be the deputy mayor. Does that, everyone comfortable with that process? Thank you. You have to hold up to 4 now. Number 1 on the ballot is Councillor Ian Tucker. Number 2 is Councillor Helen Hayden. Number 3 is Councillor Frank O'Connor. And 4th is Councillor Katie Graham. If you again give us a little bit of time, get those finger off for you, so again mark them with an X.
You used to shut for all the doors. You used to shut for all the doors. Did you move the door? It's not this one. Not like it. Well, that's the yeah. We did have the VCPs and control plans and all that posting. It's been a real good bonus to have the funds. VCPs have all the bill.
You found one.
Correct. So we're pretty over. Then you've got the LEPs that know what to do. VCPs give you your life. Like a friend out there on the front. Said they didn't want the trees. Didn't want the trees. It's not something. And they work out a pretty big business. It's been shared a things right, haven't been graded since the power line. Hadn't been.
Do you need an extra hold in it?
Yeah, you know.
Already on.
1X? 1X.
That's two. Your preference.
1X.
1X, that's a 2X, you also use excluded. Councillors, with the vote being tallied, Councillor Frank O'Connor has 3 votes. The remaining 3 candidates have 2 votes each, being Councillor Tucker, Councillor Graham, and Councillor Hayden. The process will now be that Councillor O'Connor carries on in the election, and a draw out of the hat will occur for the remaining 3 councillors. The person who is drawn out of the barrel will be excluded from the rest of the process.
They're in process.
I'll place the 3 councillors in the barrel. Does anyone would like to view it and see that nothing untoward has been undertaken?
Oh, and then we'll just shout.
Councillor Ian Tucker has been excluded. Councillors, now with 3 remaining councillors, we have to go through that process once again. I apologise, Councillor Tucker. That's the nature of how this works. People cast their votes again to undertake the transition. We just have to bring the 3 off now. We need to redo the order. Thank you. There are all 3 are in the barrel. First out is Councillor Katie Graham. Second out is Councillor Frank O'Connor. And the last out is Councillor Helen Hayden.
You bring up one, you can shut me. It's not rocket swords. Increases in. You got your reason, which is different. Yeah, that's something.
Cross again, councillors.
She lodged it. And sending you one business. Within the first 2 months. Which way? Yes, maybe.
Thank you.
Yeah, mate.
After the second round of voting, councillor Helen Hayden has the lowest number of votes and will be excluded during this count, which leaves 2 remaining candidates for the position of deputy mayor, those being councillor Katie Graham and councillor Frank O'Connor. First on the ballot will be councillor Katie Graham. Second being councillor Frank O'Connor.
Oh, good one. I'm not sure if they're going to use any colour.
Thank you.
Sorry, Matty.
Thank you, mate.
I can advise that Katie Graham has a high number of votes, and I declare that Katie Graham is elected as Deputy Mayor of Oberon Council for the ensuing 2 terms. Congratulations.
Sorry for the process.
With that being the case, councillors, Mayor Andrew McKibben will now preside over the remaining meeting. Congratulations to both Councillor McKibben and Councillor Graham.
Okay, should we got that too, yeah?
Thanks, Clark. Otherwise, that's probably no. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much. A lengthy process in the votes, but I think it shows the democracy and process that we finally got there. And thank you, everyone, for your support to all councillors during the election process. We're at item 5, declarations of interest. Are there any pecuniary or non-pecuniary declarations of interest this evening from any councillors? No. Item 6 is presentations. We have no presentations. Item 7 is questions from the public. Members of the public wishing to address council are permitted to do so, provided the following guidelines are adhered to. The person asking the question at the council meeting must clearly state their name and in what capacity they are acting. If the person asking the questions is acting as another person or organisation's agent, they must advise council if they have their prior consent authority. Are there any questions from the public this evening? Thank you, Vicky.
Good evening all. I think I'm known to you all, Vicky Walsh, ratepayer of Oberon. I just want to refer to a media release on the 19th of April 2024, which was on the Oberon Council website from General Manager Gary Wallace and prior Mayor Mark Keller. I'll read it first and then I've got a couple of questions. Council would like to thank the community for its attendance to the April ordinary meeting on Tuesday night and acknowledge the community's concern regarding the quality of Oberon water supply. As discussed on the night, Council will provide a public response to those questions taken on notice via Council's website. As stated at the meeting, Council engaged independent experts, CWT, to undertake an assessment and provide recommendations to Council as to how it can improve process to ensure its ongoing compliance. Council has endorsed this document prepared by CWT and proposed to implement the recommendations in the consideration of the financial constraints on the ratepayer. Council have committed to keeping the community updated on all works as they are undertaken. At the meeting, there was some commentary linking previous water initiatives to water quality. Council will address those to ensure appropriate independent advice is obtained. Oberon Council is committed to providing the best quality of water for our community. Now, I personally have not been able to find any answers to the questions that were put on notice 6 months ago. Have the questions been answered? My question 1. Question 2, have any of the recommendations from CWT been completed or even started? Question 3, has Council obtained independent advice as stated for the commentary linking the previous water initiatives to the water quality? And if these questions are going to be put on notice, can it be asked that it's not 6 months later that we get a response, please? Thank you.
Yeah, through the chair, council provided a number of updates on its website as to answering the questions that were provided. More than happy to provide those again. Council's technical services director looks after the water supply system and how it operates, and has undertaken to provide ongoing updates to the community in regards to quality of water when we take those samples. We are working with CWT to undertake those recommendations in accordance with council's resolution, I believe in, I'm going to say earlier this year.
Is that?
No.
We'll provide a written response to those questions.
The response is on the website, council.
There is a response on the website.
I searched thoroughly today and could not find any information whatsoever.
And we will forward a copy to.
We'll forward a copy to you directly.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from the public? If not, move to item 8, which is confirmation of minutes. 8.1 is the ordinary meeting of the 13th of August 2024. The recommendation is that the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on 13th of August 2024 be confirmed. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Hayden, move. Seconder, please. Would be someone who actually was at the meeting. Thank you, Councillor McCarthy. There were just a couple of issues that I have raised with the General Manager. One of them is that I believed that the General Manager returned after the vote on the multi-purpose sports complex, not before, so that would be changed in the minutes. And the second item I raised is I think that on the Performance Review Committee, did you second that, Councillor McCarthy, or did I second that? I thought it was me.
Probably was.
Sorry?
Probably was you.
I think it was me, so I have raised that with the General Manager. He thinks it was too, so those couple of items will change, but subject to those minor amendments. Are there any other discussion on the previous minutes?
Just a minor thing, commencing at 5:30 AM or PM?
PM.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hayden.
We'll move it to
Yes, yes,
sorry,
go.
Mr.
Yes.
Mayor. Yes, nothing further to add.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor McCarthy.
Yeah.
Any further discussion on those minutes? If not, I'll put it that those minutes be confirmed, please. All in favour? Thanks. Passed unanimously. We move to item 8.2, which is extraordinary.
There was no mayoral minute, that was 8. There's no.
Wasn't there a 8.2? Extraordinary meeting.
Sorry.
I think there's an 8.2,
Page 39.
page 39.
The one ready the 15th of August.
Okay, 8.2, the recommendation is the minutes of the extraordinary meeting held on the 15th of August 2024 be confirmed. Could I have a move, please? Councillor Graham, seconder, please. Councillor Trembath. Councillor Graham,
Feel they're accurate.
thank you.
Yes,
Councillor
they're accurate, nothing further to say.
Any further discussion on those? Councillor Hayden.
I would like to add notes to the record that I do not agree with the extraordinary meeting that was held, and I do not agree with that in the papers. Thank you.
Noted, thank you. We'll note that. Any further discussion on those extraordinary meeting minutes? If not, I put the recommendation that those minutes be accepted. All in favour? Noted. Councillor Hayden against. Thank you. Anyone else against? Sorry, Councillor McCarthy.
3.
Three, and Tony, and Councillor Alibris. Thank you. Now, item 10 is notice of motion. There are no notices of motion. Item 11 is councillors and delegates report. Item 11 is the Central New South Wales Joint Organisation Board meeting and meeting with the Federal Ministers 21st and 22nd of August 2024. The recommendation is in 4 parts, is that council notes the report from the General Manager from the Central New South Wales Joint Organisation Board meeting 21st and 22nd of August 2024. And 1, note a welcome to new council session is under development for November 2024. 2, notes the cost savings to councils for street lighting charges from Central New South Wales GO's negotiations through the Australian Energy Regulator, delivering an average of 16.9% across regional New South Wales. 3, note the return on investment from the Central New South Wales GO for the 2023-24 year of 8.3 to 1 for membership fees, and 4, request a presentation from the Central New South Wales GO on its programming. Could I have someone to move that recommendation in 4 parts, please? Councillor Hayden, seconder, please. Councillor Graham. Councillor Hayden.
I'm happy to move the recommendation in 4 parts. I would like a note placed on the minutes from the JO, if that's possible, and for our Mayor and General Manager to take back a notification to the joint organisation. After reading their statement from the mayors of the Central New South Wales Joint Organisation Board, there are some mistakes within the statement that has been made. And the statement has been made that we, the undersigned mayors of the Central New South Wales Joint Organisation Board, acknowledge the importance of Aboriginal heritage and culture, and we express our concerns around the process regarding the partial declaration of the Section 10 under the Act to protect significant Aboriginal heritage. I'd like to bring to the mayor's notice that the proponents who applied for the Section 10 are not the traditional owners of the land as such. They do not have a native title claim on any land within this region or this state. And I would like it noted that the Central Western Wiradjuri Traditional Owners Corporation is an entity of a corporation and not traditional owners as such. Thank you.
I thought, and I might be wrong, councillor Hayden, that the form of the resolution was pretty general, and I didn't think it referred to any particular traditional owners. I think it was very general in its wording.
They noted, we appreciate the purpose of section 10 is to ensure that the traditional owners of the land are heard.
Yes.
There are no traditional owners of the land under native title whatsoever in the Bathurst Orange area. The only native title claim is Warrabinga 3, Warrabinga 5, Warrabinga 7, which are taking up land on the Mudgee side down towards Lithgow. The Orange Lauk, Local Aboriginal Lands Council, has made their statement in regards to this. So too has the Bathurst Local Aboriginal Lands Council. And the Wiradjuri Traditional Owners Corporation is a corporation as such and not traditional owners under native title. If you could take that to their attention, please.
We will make it to their attention, but as you're aware, the minister made a declaration in respect to a representation. I'm not saying who the representation came from, but it was made in relation to a representation from an Aboriginal body. That's all I can say.
It's just the way that they have worded it. They are not the traditional owners.
Okay. Noting that point, who's the seconder? Is it Councillor Graham?
Thank you. Yeah. I would just like to say, as I attended the meeting, as the previous mayor was unable to attend, it was very obvious to me the value of Oberon being part of that joint organisation. Not just a financial advantage, which comes through pretty clearly, but was also access to information and support, and also provides a great opportunity for informal networking. So it's very good that we're part.
Thank you, Councillor Trimber.
I'd just like to add to the discussion and acknowledge what Councillor Hayden has just said. It is a very hot topic of debate at the moment about this issue as to who owns and who doesn't. So I think it should be acknowledged what she said, and even if it goes that as a statement from someone who has a background.
No, absolutely. And following this meeting, I think what I will do is sit with Councillor Hayden and try and get some appropriate wording that we can agree on.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to get confused in how I interpret it. So I've noted that to do that. So thank you, Councillor. You're happy with that?
Yeah.
All right. Any further discussion on the joint organisation board meeting and the recommendation in 4 parts? If there's no further discussion, I put the motion. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. We go to 11.2, which was the Country Mayors Association meeting on the 9th of August 2024. The recommendation is that the delegates' report for the 9th of August 2024 Country Mayors Association meeting be received and noted. Could I have a mover for that recommendation, please? Councillor Hayden, seconded, please. Councillor Trimbarth. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to move the recommendation there. I'd also like to just offer my gratitude and thanks to Jamie Chappie, because he has been an inspiration at many of the conferences that I've attended, and he's also given me a good laugh as well wherever he pops up in the audience. Thank you.
Councillor Trimbarth.
Yes, I'm happy to second it, and I think we should just note the changing of the guard with a number of very prominent people within that group, with Linda Scott, Bronnie Taylor, and of course Jamie Chappie, who I think we always knew had more to give in terms of public life, and glad to see that he's going to take on a federal position. And of course the Blaney councillor Scott Ferguson passing the baton to some new councillors. So it's a great organisation, and we do get a lot of benefit from it.
Thank you. Yes, and I think we'll note those comments and pass those on. Thank you. Any further discussion on 11.2? If not, I put the recommendation. All in favour? Carried unanimously. We go to 12 committee reports. First is 12.1, the Audit Risk and Improvement Committee meeting of the 11th of September 2024. The recommendation is, again in 4 parts, is that Council 1 receive and note the minutes of the Audit Risk and Improvement Committee meeting held on 11th of September 2024. 2, note the approved strategic work plan 2024 to 28. 3, note the approved 2024-25 annual work plan. And 4, note the approved 2024-25 and 2025-26 internal audit plan. Could I have someone to move that recommendation, please? Councillor Tucker, thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Hayden, thank you. Councillor Tucker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Obviously, I wasn't at the meeting, but I am happy to move the motion. I do have some questions relating to the internal audit work plan. So I'm looking at page 129. So it's year 1 audit plan utilisation and renewal. And as you know, that's a topic that I've been banging on about for the last 3 years. And I just have some questions either for yourself, Mr. Mayor, or if necessary for the General Manager. First of all, did Eric approve that work plan? Did it decide to go ahead with that audit of plant utilisation and renewal?
As far as I was aware, I was not there. It did, and I can't. I think there was a time frame for it. I think it is in year 1.
Yeah, which I assume is 24,
24-25. Yes,
Thank you.
and yes, and councillors entitled to do submissions.
Yes. The next question is, it's referred to as an internal audit plan, and yet this is going to be outsourced. So I'm totally confused about what is the difference between an internal audit and an external audit. And just wondered.
Well, I'll ask the Director of Corporate Services to just comment on that, and I'll fill in if necessary. But yes.
It's through the Mayor, Councillor Tucker. That's correct. Council endorsed our internal audit charter at the April meeting, and that charter outlined that this particular council will undertake an internal audit via an external contractor. The head of internal audit, which is the corporate service director, will manage the contract, but that actual audit groundwork will be undertaken by an external contractor, and that's outlined in the internal audit charter.
So what is an external audit then?
An external audit, our current external audit looks at financials, those types of things, but in the internal audit function, there's two avenues that you can go down. Many of the larger councils have the internal audit position and staff. A lot of the smaller councils don't have that resource, so they need to get that external expertise to crunch groundwork data and all those types of things.
So this is one of the requirements of the new legislation, as you're aware, in relation to how ARIC and
yes, I was just unclear about what is the difference between an internal audit done externally or by an external provider or an external auditor. But I'll move on to my next question.
The external is meant to be, they're meant to be both independent, but the external is meant to do a slightly, I think, a broader function and overarching function, whereas the internal is more into the detail.
Through the bit, the external audit's not governed by the ARIC charter either.
Next question is, when is that audit, the planned audit, expected to commence, and how long do you think it will take?
Yeah, through the chair, we've just closed the procurement for that. So we're just evaluating the proposals. So we're looking to commence that audit relatively soon. The time frame, there's about 60 to 70 hours of scope that has been allocated to that potential audit. So it's depending on the appropriate time frame with plant utilisation, but we're looking to do that relatively quickly.
All right, thank you. And my final question, and the Mayor has mentioned it, is just how or what opportunities will there be for the elected councillors to have any involvement in that audit? So will we get to see the terms of reference? Will we see the same information that gets provided to the auditor? Will we be able to provide submissions to the auditor and to ARIC? And will we get to see the draft report prior to it being finalised?
Yeah, so through the chair, the conduct of that internal audit is outlined in that internal audit charter. There is a independence component of that, which does look to separate council from certain elements of that process. Should council have interest or input or look to make variations to that plan, they can do by resolution. And then that will go back to the chair of ARIC for consideration as to do these impact the governing body's ability to do X, Y, and Z. So absolutely, council has the ability to do that. They just need to do it through that resolution process.
Or an individual councillor, I can prepare my comments and submit them to ARIC.
You can make a submission, and obviously there will be a council elected onto the ARIC to be an attendee of ARIC.
Yeah,
And the submission should also go to them so they can, because they're allowed to speak at the meeting, they're not allowed to vote, but they're allowed to speak.
and that, through the mayor, that independent, so that councillor rep non-voting is meant to convey those
Yes.
concerns at the meeting.
That's right, so that'll be.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, that's all right.
Yes.
Just a minute.
Sorry, did we
Second to Hayden.
second to Hayden first, then. Councillor O'Connor. Sorry,
Nothing further to add.
oh, nothing, sorry, Councillor O'Connor.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. The first one is just that internal audit. Mainly, I think a lot of it is about internal risk. So that's just a due process that most large organisations do. My question's one that might seem a bit silly at this stage, but I'm trying to get a handle on. We're doing asset management process. In the council's reserves, is it reserves booked away or noted for, say, roadwork plan? Have we got reserves allocated to different assets?
Yes, we have a plant reserve, so we have because we obviously have a turnover plant. And one of the issues, I think, like Councillor Tucker is saying, are we doing that in a proper frame,
I understand.
time frame? So we have reserves for plant. We actually approve monies to be set aside regularly for looking at that. At the moment, correct me, but we've got a large truck and dog, which we've had to do over 2 years, isn't it? Because of the longevity, and there's a number of other items that have been turned over. So we look at that regularly. One of the ideas of the audit is, are we doing that too often? We're turning them over or not? How can we optimise appropriately the best asset management of those areas? And that's one of the issues. That's why it's been put into the internal audit to have the audit to have a look at that. So obviously you've got an interest in, I would imagine, Councillor Tucker's got an interest in that, so that'll be looked at, yes. Sorry, is that,
No, I mean, as we go through the next few months,
yes,
it'll get a bit clearer. I'm just, I mean, they're one and the same to me that, you've got an asset management review or process and there's a reserve that they'll be sort of linked in some way.
well, there's asset management, and you'll see this across all our assets, whether it's our building, our plant, whether it's our roads, whether it's everything. So we have to do asset management plans for all of that. And that comes up in a lot of meetings as to whether we're doing, we're meeting that. And it works into our strategic plan and IPNR. If you look at the last IPR, you'll see a lot of work on that as to renewal of assets. Sorry, anything else, councillors? If not, I will, I'll put the motion. All in favour? Thank you. 12.2 is the Traffic Advisory Local Committee meeting of the 8th of August 2024. The recommendation is that council receive and note the minutes of the Traffic Advisory Local Committee held on the 8th of August 2024. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Tucker. Seconder, please. Councillor McCarthy. Councillor Tucker.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, I was present at that meeting and accurate record and happy to move.
Thank you. Councillor McCarthy.
Yeah, I'm happy with the report. The only one I'm concerned about is the truck parking on Albion Street. In some spots, there's appropriate signs, and I understand that there's not been adhered to. In other words, on lots of times on weekends, you find 2 curtain line V doubles parked on there, and it says no parking. So I don't know how we get the local police to enforce it, but it's my fault. I should have been able to give you the rego numbers, but. And if you see on the weekend, there was an A trailer parked further down the thing that in an inappropriate spot. So
All right, well, if that's the
Signs
case,
just aren't working, but if you don't get support from the,
we'll, the general manager will raise it with the police. But, just generally and ask them if they can do occasional spot checks. So what you're after?
Yeah.
Well, sorry, councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy with the report. It's a good report. I do have a couple of concerns out of the paper about the, speed limit reduction on Beaconsfield O'Connell Road. Is there any further information I can get around that?
I'll ask someone who attended. Councillor Tucker, have you got any further information?
It was an outside request several months ago for a review of not only speed limit, but signs and line marking and stuff like that as well. And that's where it's at. I believe Transport for New South Wales have quite a long list of requests for speed limit reviews, so it may take a while before I get around to it. Yes, it was that first section of Beaconsfield Road at the northern end around to O'Connell Plains Road and Boxford Road. And I think it included the whole of Boxford Road as well.
And you'll note, councillor Hayden, that any recommendation has to come back to council to be approved. Sorry, councillor.
That's not what, not the speed limits.
Not for speed limits.
We can comment, but the decision for speed limits with Transport.
Okay, sorry, councillor.
Sorry, I just hadn't finished. That was all. I just had that
Yes.
question around that. And I'm just wondering how long Transport New South Wales might be taking to review the pedestrian crossing and the shade over of the trees causing the near misses along there. That's all. I'll leave that there for next TALC meeting if we could get a question,
Or maybe if you could,
an answer through.
depending on who our TALC representative is, maybe you
Yeah.
could send an email to them to ask the question. Sorry, councillor Trember.
So going back probably to what Councillor Hayden raised about that speed limit reduction, I do find that a problem that there's no community consultation. I believe there was only one letter put in, and we're already reviewing the speed on road that doesn't really have a lot of traffic, and there is a new subdivision that would potentially benefit from a reduction. So I just question how that can happen, like one letter and the whole community is impacted with a speed reduction.
All right, could I suggest, councillor Trember, again, when we have the new person who's on the TALC, that you might contact them and make those concerns known. And you can also make known to me and we can have a meeting with that person if you need. But yes, I think that's probably the best way to do it at this stage because we don't know who the new person on the TALC is. Are you happy with it?
Yeah.
All right, any further discussion on this matter? All right, I put the recommendation. All in favour? Passed unanimously. Thank you. We go to 12.3, which is the Oberon Sports Facilities Committee meeting. The recommendation is that council receive and notes the minutes of the Oberon Sports Facilities Committee held on the Wednesday, the 21st of August, 2024. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Trimbar, thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Hayden. Councillor Trimbar.
Yes, I'm happy to move it because I was there. I have to say that I think I've said it before, there's just the involvement in this committee is getting better and better now with the new sports facility coming to life, and there's genuine excitement that they just to see a piece of it. Now they can actually see that it's going to be completed mid next year, and they're wanting to be participating more in terms of what's actually happening, what's being built, and yeah, it's actually stimulated the sports community with this new build. So
That's
nothing
great.
more to add other than to say it's working very well for our sporting bodies.
So for new councils, we did have some problems at some stage getting enough attendees from all the representative sports to attend this committee. So this is very good news from what Councillor Trimbar was
High
saying.
attendance.
Second, Councillor Hayden.
Yeah, nothing further to add. It's a very good report and I wasn't there. Thank you.
All right, any further discussion on this matter? If not, I put the recommendation. All in favour? Thank you. Passed unanimously. We go to 13, which is reports. We go to 12.4, which is the local emergency management committee meeting of the 12th of August 2024. The recommendation is the council receive and note the minutes of the local emergency management committee held on the 12th of August 2024. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Grady. Seconder, please. Councillor Hayden. Councillor Grady.
Just wanted to check if we follow up with attendance from all the agencies. So I noticed that DPI or local land services weren't in attendance and there was no apologies. So I'd just like to see if they could attend with the biosecurity risks of avian influenza and other issues like that. They should be at these meetings.
Okay, that will be noted. We'll note that. We do have a council employee attend. We normally have the general manager attend, so that will be noted. Yes. Sorry, Councillor Hayden.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm happy to second. I'm wondering if there's been any feedback from the Borg update around the formaldehyde respiratory distress that the two individuals had suffered in the May incident, and if there's been any further feedback or follow up with those employees.
I'll ask the general manager if you've had any feedback from Borg on that incident.
Through the chair at this point, no further follow-up, but we're happy to take it on board and chase that.
I'd really appreciate if you could actually get Borg to follow up on that, because as we know, formaldehyde is carcinogenic and going into respiratory distress. That concerns me as that those people are community members. So nothing further to add. Thank you.
No, we'll make inquiries, Councillor Hayden. Any further? Any other further discussion on that matter? If not, I put the recommendation. All in favour? Carried unanimously. We go to 13, which is reports for decision. 13.1 is the Oberon Local Government Electorate Results and Councillor Induction Program. The recommendation is council notes the schedule of training plan for councillors in the Office of Local Government Councillor Induction Program. Could I have a mover for that, please? Councillor Hayden. Okay. And seconded by Councillor Trembath. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to move the recommendation, part of requirements. Thank you.
Happy to
Yes,
second,
member.
nothing to add.
Any further discussion on this matter? If not, I put the recommendation. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 13.2, contact process for casual vacancies. The recommendation is that pursuant to section 291A(1)(b) of the Local Government Act 1993, Oberon Council declares that casual vacancies occurring in the office of a councillor within 18 months after the last ordinary election of councillors for the council on 14th September 2024 are to be filled by a countback of votes cast at the election for the office in accordance with section 291A of the Act, and directs the General Manager to notify the Electoral Commissioner for New South Wales of council decision within 7 days of this decision. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Hayden. Seconder. Councillor Trembath. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to move that recommendation. This is a much easier, cost-effective method to do a count back should we have any vacancy. Much cheaper than a by-election. Thank you.
Councillor Trembath.
And happy to second, and I totally agree. We don't need to spend money if it's not necessary.
Any further discussion on this matter? I put the recommendation. All in favour? Carried unanimously. So council 13.3 is delegates to external organisations. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I would put a recommendation that we move into a committee of the whole to have an informal discussion on this. That's why I move. You second it?
Yeah.
Second it. So we stop the recording.
Page 170.
All it is just informing now.
So if we could have a discussion, please. We have we have a number of organisations here. First of all, I think if people could indicate areas where they have some interest in those areas, that would be good. Councillor.
Mr. Mayor, if I may,
Yes,
I was going to move an alternative motion on the basis that there's some, I think, 18
yes,
organisations that would be, need delegates, and that we've got 3 new councillors that have different abilities and strengths. And, you know, we are yet to form relationships, and given the importance of some of these organisations, that it would be only appropriate to defer for 1 month. And during that time, the mayor could, if there was a meeting for any of those organisations, the mayor or deputy could attend. It would only seem right that at such an early stage that, particularly for us new coming councillors, that we give it a month's grace.
Councillor Tucker, we are in discussion, informal discussion.
Yes.
We're not.
Still indicate invited to speak, but I do agree with Councillor O'Connor. We are only talking about 1 month. I don't know if any of those organisations even have any meetings scheduled during that month.
They do.
But it does give all councillors, particularly new councillors, time to work out either which external organisations or which other committees that they are interested in. And I suggest that we do it in conjunction with appointments to committees at the November meeting. So
The only thing I note is that a number of these organisations are having meetings in
yes,
November.
But that was part of the suggestion that in the interim, either the mayor or his nominee could attend those meetings in that period.
For instance, I do note the Upper Macquarie has to make some decisions in relation to road spraying, and there's
So
a
I would be
decision.
suggesting that in those situations, that either you would have the prerogative to attend if you wish to, or you could contact a councillor to see if they were able and willing to attend. We're only talking about 1 month.
Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I don't accept that. I believe that we need to get these external organisations sorted. We've got important meetings coming up. We're running into Christmas. We're going to be absolutely under the pump for November and December. There's some decisions that have to be made with some of these external organisations and going into the Christmas break. I don't believe that doing this in November when we've got the other committees that we've got to arrange for November as well. Being a new council in 2021, we all sat here in the same position and we went, yep, and we got different organisations and we ran with it and we went with what we had. So I do believe that there is some urgency to get these underway and you just got to have to try and go with the flow and learn as you go.
Councillor Trember.
I do understand the requirement to allow the new councillors to get a little bit more information so that we do get the right people in the right places. Could we amend that slightly with an extraordinary on the council for us just in a week to just determine these delegates,
I think,
which is just a week.
I think we have an
time for everyone to
induction
get-
program on the next Wednesday week.
Within that time, can we
yeah.
fit an hour?
Would you be happy to defer it to next extraordinary
Yeah,
meeting?
I think it's just appropriate that, you know, with these organisations, that there's a little bit of refresh and renewal. And to do that, we need a little bit more time, that's all. So yeah, next week, that'd be fine, or whatever.
Whenever that induction is, if
That's
we
the
could just
Wednesday.
squeeze it in, but they come prepared with a little bit more, they've done their research, they know what they are interested in, and then we select the delegates.
I don't agree.
Councillor Guthrie.
Mr Mayor, I think you'll find next week there's one on the Rural Fire Service. And if it was okay for the council, through the councillors, that the two nominees that exist on that committee,
Yeah.
maybe they can attend.
Yeah, just in the interest.
It's all at the same time as the induction.
There's no great drama, but I
On
think
the
it's next
same
week.
time as the
Same
induction.
time as the induction.
You have to be in
So in 2 places at once.
I think the induction's due to finish at 4 o'clock
Their meeting's at 9:30.
in the morning.
Yeah, so we could zoom in to the meeting. and then be ready for 10 o'clock, because it doesn't go very long.
Which is a way for other councillors to see how that meeting is held and what it covers. They can actually participate just in that particular one. I
So
just see it as a.
So what time are we talking about next Wednesday?
The induction starts at 10.
Yeah.
And the fire meeting's on at 9:30.
So we're talking about doing this after the induction, so 4 o'clock or what?
Before.
So, can
Yes, okay, General Manager.
councils will note through their next 3 months that there's quite a bit of induction going on. On the 5th of November, council have an informal briefing that's been proposed and potentially rolling a extraordinary or an undertaking, and we as staff can bring all the committees back, so you can just deal with the committees in one setting without dealing with any other business might be of an option, because I do believe that this will not take 1 hour. Like you will have some back and forth in terms of who's interested, who's not. There could potentially be a vote on who the delegate is. So we could formulate some type of paper in terms of dealing with the delegates' reports potentially on the 5th of November. You may miss the Melbourne Cup, but that's.
There is a CWTA meeting on the 8th of November, I think. And the delegates from this organisation have to make some reasonable decisions at that. I would imagine Jill might be putting a name on that. I don't know.
So through the chair in that regard.
Up at Macquarie.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry.
there's-
But all I'm saying is the board papers usually come out at least a week before that
Yeah.
meeting, so it's going to be difficult if we make the decision on the 5th and the
Just-
6th. But I can see if I can ask, I don't have any power there, but I could ask the general manager if we can consider moving it back, but there are other delegates from other councils as well, so.
just through that process, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
I've already made Central Tablelands Leads Authority very much aware of council's position, because council still has some outstanding questions
Yes.
that are asked of the organisation. Currently, council is a valued member of that organisation and has already indicated a certain monetary component that we'll give, and we are obliged to continue to pay and be part of that program. It's the additional stuff that the work needs to be done on, in terms of where and what the authority will be heading towards. And I have made it very clear to the authority that Oberon Council will be in no position to make any further commentary until such times as the delegates have been provided to that committee and the appropriate process has been undertaken to do that. So regardless if a board paper is on that 8th, council's position is reasonably solid, so we could still push to have another meeting outside that standard board meeting.
I wasn't indicating that decision on the roadside spraying, et cetera, should be made at that board meeting. I'm just noting there is a board paper meeting, and that normally those board papers are issued a week before. So if we appoint delegates on the 5th, they've got a very small period of time to read the board papers. But I'm happy with that. I can certainly speak to the general manager and because see what the other councils are interested in pushing it out. I noticed that the other suggested date was the 15th of November, but that's also a date that conflicts with some other meetings. So,
15th isn't good for you, Mr. Mayor.
sorry, councillor Hayden.
Could I just make a suggestion? If we're going to hold this over until another date, could all councillors that are interested in being a delegate or an alternate on any of the committees do their list on a piece of paper and bring it to the meeting with them, so that they have got where they want to be, and then we can sort through that.
Well, I was going to go a little further.
Me too.
I was going to suggest that an Excel spreadsheet be circulated with the organisations. Could be on the portal. And if people are interested in the organisation, they put their name in it.
I agree.
And I think that's the best way to do it. So when we go back to a formal meeting, we will basically be recommending this be stood over to a date. And the second is that a Excel spreadsheet be put on the portal and the people, if they're interested, put their name into it. So I think if that's agreeable in this informal, that's what I will be putting as a recommendation. Any further, sorry, further discussion? And I think at this stage, we're suggesting the 5th of November is,
At the informal briefing.
yeah,
It would be preceding the
Yeah.
informal, so the meeting might be at two PM.
So-
3.
all right. All right, so we could go back into normal meeting, please. So 13.3, I will put an alternate recommendation.
Moving that we go back into the meeting.
You're moving into seconder, Councillor Tucker, all in favour? So I will be putting alternate recommendation. Is that the council in two parts. Number one is the council defer until an extraordinary meeting to be held on the 5th of November 2024, the appointment of delegates to external organisations for the following 2 years. And two, that the general manager place on the portal a spreadsheet with the external organisations listed as is listed in 13.3, and that council is interested in those external organisations, place their names next to those organisations so that when the discussion occurs, place next to that, those organisations. The reasoning on that is so that, do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Hayden. So,
Councillor O'Connor said in the interim, the mayor would,
three, in the interim, if anything requires a decision in relation to those committees, that the mayor or his appointed delegate attend and act for the council as a delegate to that relevant committee. Can I have a second, please? Councillor O'Connor. Any further discussion on this matter? Councillor Graham.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Do you mean committees as well as delegates?
Yes. Because I think at the next meeting we are appointing the committees. So that's the November meeting.
One further question.
Councillor Hayes.
Sorry, just one further question, just bringing to the attention of everyone, that's Melbourne Cup Day.
Just a second, sorry.
Just bringing to everyone's attention, it's Melbourne Cup Day, so there will be different things on, and I'm wondering if we're going to have this meeting prior to the IBS, if we could have it as late as possible toward the timeframe, whether before or 4:30.
We've got something on that day.
Yeah, we have a meeting and it's also.
We have a meeting at 5:30.
And 4:30.
The auditors presenting the.
Oh, that's
So could we do it at 4?
through the chair, I believe that it would take longer than half an hour to undertake this. So we'll look at a scheduling around that to try and accommodate all, but there is a number of things on that day and we're trying to lead, so councillors aren't here
And council staff, I think.
for long periods of time.
All right, we have a recommendation in 3 parts that is on the screen.
Yeah.
I think it was also external organisations and committees, wasn't it? It was because of after the following the question from the deputy mayor.
In point 3.
Yes, yeah. So I think that was also covering the committees that we're going to vote on in November.
I think it's a good idea.
Okay, is everyone happy with seeing that? All right. I put the motion in 3 parts. All in favour? Thank you. Quite against it. Councillor McCarthy notes. Is against it. We go 13.4, delegations of authority to the general manager. The recommendation is that council receive a report by the government's executive manager on the review of delegations to the general manager, and 2, grant the general manager or person who acts in that position from time to time all the functions, powers, duties and authorities of the council that may lawfully be delegated under the Local Government Act 1993, any other act, regulation or the like, including any functions, powers, duties and authorities delegated to council by any authority, body, person or the like, other than limitations outlined in the report. Can I have a mover for the recommendation, please? Councillor Hayden, seconder. Councillor O'Connor. Councillor Hayden.
Yeah, part of policy and regulation.
Councillor O'Connor.
Mr. Mayor, I think I have a question. It's only one to go to our general manager. It's only one. Again, just to get my head around some of these things. Under limitations, under point 3, to accept council tenders with a contract value of up to 3 million. So you have delegated power to sign a contract up to 3 million without coming to council.
So I asked the general manager the same question in email.
Okay.
The response was, I'll read that, the response. This has been previously been in place, however, never used to ensure transparency. Happy to have this reduced if you see fit. That was the response I received.
So,
I also know there's a typo there in that limitations. The first line, the following limitations recommend to be applied to the general manager's delegation should not be a bullet, and the bullet should be to authorise. So there's a typo.
So the question I raised, it's nothing to do with the process. It's more about the risk.
Yes.
And so that we can understand the risk. So the process is fine. So I'll leave it up to the fellow councillors to determine whether it should be that figure or a lesser figure, but that's my only input to this stage.
yeah,
Sorry, and I'll ask the general manager to
Yeah.
comment.
although that exists, that limitation exists, I also understand risk in the process, and I have never used that delegated authority to undertake that. I'll say in general circumstances, the reason why it's there is that if you don't have a meeting for 2 or 3 months and something comes up, it gives you the ability to do that and still continue to undertake day-to-day business. However, that being said, we bring tenders back to council without utilising that provision. However, it still sits there, which is why if you want to reduce it, I'm happy to. The issue is that it just has the potential not to allow business in a time when you don't have a meeting.
The alternative, if I might, is to put some words to say, if it is not reasonably practicable for the general manager to raise the issue with council in a timely manner or something. I'm suggesting some words that might assist you if you're I'm
really guided by the fellow councillors. I mean,
sorry, Councillor Tucker, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had a query on the same paragraph, so paragraph 1.2, to accept tenders with a contract value up to $3 million, because my understanding is that the regulations set the limit at 250,000. So I wondered if this was possibly talking about not people submitting a tender to us, but where we had tended to carry out external work. So if we could just clarify, are we talking about people tendering to us or us tendering to others?
Through the chair, it could be both. I think it's
So how does that fit with the regulations that actually stipulate that anything above 250 has to be a tender and has to come to council?
That's right. So the tender document will go to council. The contract value is something that, so we going to tender is which way would you like it to go, open or closed? And as I've said, every tender process that we've put apart from that, we've added to come back to council.
Yes.
So it circumvents that.
But, yeah, I thought the legal requirement was that the decision on accepting the tender had to come back to council, but I might be wrong about that.
Through the chair,
Yes.
any value of a contract over 250 must go to tender unless it goes under.
Yes, it
But
must go
that's-
to tender, but it isn't a requirement that the awarding of the tender come to council.
No,
Okay, thank you. My one other question is in 1.1A, there's a typo, it should say not exceeding.
Sorry, where's that? In,
In the same page, 1.1A, first line, to authorise any work at a cost not exceeding. It currently says exceeding. And so putting the word not in would make it conform with, it was mentioned earlier in the same report. And it's the same as in the next paragraph, authorise any work at a cost not exceeding 2050.
and there's also in 377, when I raised that with you, there is a, there's an R on general manager.
Yep.
That's on page 170.
I'm happy to note the knots to come out if that assists council.
Okay, so going back, Councillor Gray.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I just wanted to ask the question in terms of the exclusions. The reason behind putting in clause C, the determination of a development application for a subdivision creating more than 20 allotments would, from my understanding, would normally all divisions have to come through council, and is there a reason behind why you've put that one in?
Through the chair, generally subdivisions do come to council. They're usually of interest to council, depending on how big they are. Council staff under delegation currently have delegation to do that. So it's just increasing the limit to allow for more, a quicker process in getting an application dealt with. I will note, however, it's done also under the advice that there's not more than 2 submissions of objection relating to the development. I'll also note that there is also in the exclusion the power for councillors just to write 2 councillors to put in a note to say, regardless of all your delegations or limitations, we want to assess this application. So it may be something of interest to you, which you can override the delegation for that component.
So what's the current limit on the allotments?
I think it's 5.
Would we be able to bring it back to 5? Or
at this point in time, it's a delegation from you to me. So if you want to make it 5, then it'd just be a matter of.
So just for clarity, is that the subdivision would still come before council? We would, no?
No, the delegation would allow my authority to sign off on.
Yeah.
As long as it's also meets all the other requirements that
It has to
needs
be
to
fully
require under the Act.
complying, otherwise it has to come to council.
it'd still be, so it'd still be public consultation on each
Oh.
one?
So through the chair, it doesn't preclude the assessment process. So notification and all those types of things, this delegation doesn't provide the general manager with the power to override the appropriate process under the Act. So notification, consultation, all those types of things would still occur. It is just if an application went through, there was no submissions, there was no concerns with the development, rather than it potentially needing to wait another few weeks for it to go to council for determination, it can be determined by staff.
Okay, so the benefit would be a quicker turnaround for that DA process.
I mean, if it's going to be a significant development application, it's more than likely it would come to council anyway.
No doubt.
That's been the process that's occurred previously.
And through the chair, I've often not used my delegations and brought them to council in this instance if there is some public interest matters that I think that council need to be the ones who make decisions on. But that, once again, that's a per case, per merit assessment.
The other, going back to the limitations on that 3 million one, Councillor O'Connor, the only times I can recall we got anywhere near using that was over a Christmas period or some other period where we actually looked at the tenders but we didn't want to actually finally accept until we negotiated the correct terms and conditions and got there. So it allowed that acceptance to occur at Christmas when all the prerequisites that council put into place for a major construction project or something said, right, if all this meets it, then basically you can sign off on it. It allows you to not to actually defer the acceptance until you've negotiated with the successful, well, the preferred tenderer, I'll call it, so that you can get to where you want to be. That's correct, isn't it? Yeah. That's, I'll recall you. Any further discussion on this matter? If not, I put the recommendation in 2 parts. All in favour? Passed unanimously. Thank you. 13.5 is returns disclosing interests related party disclosure. The recommendation is the council note the requirement to lodge a return disclosing interests of councils and designated persons. And 2, council notes the requirement to lodge a related party disclosure from newly elected councillors. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Hayden. A seconder, please. Councillor Trembath. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to move part of policy and our requirements under the Office of Local Government. Thank you.
Councillor Trembath.
Happy to second, nothing to add.
Fine. Any discussion on this matter? Not, I put the recommendation in 2 parts. All in favour? Thank you. Passed unanimously. 13.6, car parking modification, childcare centre, 6 to 8 Tasman Street, Oberon. The recommendation is that council support the proposed modification to delete the dimensions for the condition relating to disabled car parking spaces and retain the reference to the Australian standard 2890.6 for disabled parking, and 2, that a vision be called in accordance with section 375A of the Local Government Act 1993. Can I have a mover of the recommendation in 2 parts? Councillor Hayden, a seconder. Councillor O'Connor. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to move the recommendation. I did note throughout the report where there was a power pole in the way. So yes, no, I'm happy with that.
Councillor O'Connor.
Happy with the motion and further information.
Okay. Further discussion, councillors? Councillor Trembath.
We're talking about disabled car parking spot here, aren't we?
Yes,
We are talking about the.
That's the next page I'm reading, but no, I am
So
still
can we roll back one and
roll back.
we agree that
Yes.
we're talking about disabled car?
Yeah,
parking
sorry, I
spot?
was 1 page ahead, but it's still the same child.
So you're
care.
still
Then talk about-
moving it, Councillor Hayden, right?
No, I'm still happy with the disabled
Okay.
car park, yeah. I'm just reading the other
Right, okay.
page.
Any further discussion on this matter? If not, I put the motion, the recommendation in 2 parts. All in favour? Passed unanimously. Thank you. We go to 13.7. And the recommendation, it's in relation to the footpath and access modification of the childcare centre, 6 to 8 Tasman Street. The recommendation is in 3 parts. That council 1, support the proposed modification by endorsing option 5 by accepting a contribution in lieu of condition 31 for council to install the footpath. 2, accept a contribution of 5,000 as costed by council's development engineer in view that a linear footpath may not address the retaining wall at the western end of the nature strip satisfactorily aligned with the front boundary of the subject site. 3, that a vision be called in accordance with section 375A of the Local Government Act 1993. The mover, please.
I have a different motion.
Okay, it hasn't been put yet, so you're entitled to an alternate.
Yeah, thank you.
Alternate motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My motion is that the condition requiring the construction of a footpath in front of the childcare centre at 6 to 8 Tasman Street be deleted.
And that replaces all recommendations.
Or parts 1 and 2. You can leave number 3 if you want to.
So you're proposing that 3 become 2 and that your alternate
Yeah.
resolution become 1.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, Sharon, did you get that? Could you repeat that,
Yes,
please,
certainly.
so that we can get on the,
That the condition requiring the construction of a footpath in front of the childcare centre at 6 to 8 Tasman Street be deleted.
you want to refer to condition 31? Because I think that's the condition that does it, isn't it?
That condition number 31 requiring.
Yes. I think that might be more specific if that's what you're planning.
Yes. Happy with that?
Do you have a seconder? Councillor Graham? Councillor Tucker, would you like to talk to your alternate resolution, please? I think, are you happy with the wording now?
Yes, I'm happy with that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It does seem to me silly to either be requiring the construction of a footpath or accepting money for it, given a couple of things, especially given the issue of the retaining wall. It seems to me silly to build a footpath or contemplate building a footpath just in front of one property where it doesn't extend in front of the properties either to the east or the west. I think virtually no one is likely to ever use it. And noting that there is an existing footpath already on the opposite side of Tasman Street. And in my view, it would seem highly unlikely that a path would be ever required in that area for a long, long time, not unless all of that vacant land further east was ever developed. And if that was the case, council would still have the option, if it chose to charge a half share to all of those property owners. So instead of getting $5,000 and having it sit in some sort of fund for potentially years or decades, I think it's more sensible to delete the condition and if it was ever to happen, to charge a half share at that time. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Graham.
Mr. Mayor, it's really a path to nowhere. It just goes for one block and there's a big drop with a retaining wall that you can't climb up or down. So there's really no purpose to it.
Thank you. Sorry, Councillor, yes.
Just
Gentlemen.
councillors, just by way of process, and I'll be led by my director here. The modification has been lodged by the applicant indicating that they are willing to pay money in lieu of a consent condition. We would need to go back to the applicant, I believe, should this alternate be provided, and say, we're happy for you to modify that to have no money paid, because a modification is lodged by the applicant under the guise that they want to remove something that has already been imposed on them in a standard scenario. So in terms of process, and I'm more than happy to be told otherwise by my director if that's the case, but it's just in a modification, there are some some processes that need to be followed.
So just before, Hayden, do you agree with that, Director Planning? Yes, I do. Right. Councillor Hayden?
One of my concerns, and I've got a couple with this, I understand that it may be path to nowhere. We've got another one of those in our LGA, but
I wasn't going to mention.
no, but I'm of the understanding that we end up having these issues of childcare centres or schools later on requesting a footpath. So it's going to be a childcare centre. There are going to be people walking, pushing prams or whatever they may be doing. I don't object to having the path there. Is there any legislation around childcare centres or kindergartens, schools, before care, after care, that require there to be a footpath there for safety or security reasons?
All right, I'll ask the Director of Technical
And-
Services that question first.
And also, if we go down that, we are going to have to move a motion to change the modification that's already been applied for. and
All right,
approved.
I'll ask the Director of Planning, sorry. Is there a requirement to have a footpath in front of a childcare centre?
Through the chair, there's no requirement. There's only a requirement to have safe access into the premises. The requirement for the footpath was put on by our engineering department 18 months ago, 12 months ago, whenever that was considered to comply with council's current policy.
So what around that required that through council's policy?
So why did Technical Services, I think the question is why did Technical Services require it at that time?
Through the chair, I think that at that time, I think it was considered warranted to put a footpath there for the safety of the users of that facility.
Did Technical Services at that time realise that there was going to be a drop at the end of that for retaining?
Again, through the chair, they would have done a site assessment and considered that at the time.
But they didn't include steps
Correct.
or a ramp. Okay, further discussion on this? Councillor Hayden.
Sorry, Mr Mayor, I'm just going to say I'm not going to support the amendment at this time. The proponent's happy to pay, so I'll support the recommendation as it stands.
Well, I'd already
That'll
made a
make-
motion.
that'll make-
Just the motion
This
is not an amendment.
That's right.
Could I foreshadow
You can foreshadow an amendment, yes.
to go back to the original?
Motion. Any further discussion? If not, I will,
Yes,
sorry.
I
Councillor
took the
Carl.
general manager down there several months ago to show him what was in position, that we might need curb and guttering out the front to finish the thing off. And I thought that might have been a part of this report, but anyway, it's not. It would have been combining this premises and maybe the one next door. I think next door there's a sleeper retaining wall. We might need to remove that to lose a bit of legality, with kids jumping off it, but yeah, I thought we might have got a report with the proposal of curb and guttering and the path go ahead. Anyway, we didn't, so see what we got before us.
I suppose there is also an option to further investigate the issue, but that's just deferring it.
Well, if I can have a
Yes.
reply, I am certainly open to a different motion if there are problems with the process. Because the applicant hasn't actually requested what I'm suggesting, then a way around that would be to defer a decision and to discuss the matter with the applicants in the meantime.
And see what is feasible and practical, bearing in mind.
And ask them if they want to pay $5,000 or if they'd rather pay nothing.
Council pay for it. Through the chair, my issue is purely process in
Yes,
yes.
terms of.
And I'm trying to find a way around that process.
Yes, I think that's the issue. There's a problem with the process. I don't think anyone's necessarily disagreeing point of view, but it's the process. So,
Well, we just need another motion.
Another motion. Would someone like to propose
Or you've got a foreshadowed motion.
foreshadowed motion?
It's the original.
But that only happens if mine is rejected.
Twelve, yes.
So we need an amendment now. I can't move an amendment
No.
to my own motion.
I don't think you can have an amendment come onto the books now because you've got a foreshadow.
You've got a foreshadow, you've got to vote on yours, you can put through. So we have a foreshadowed amendment. Maybe I'll put this resolution, this motion, two parts.
Three.
Was it three?
It's a division.
Oh, so that is two. That is two. No further discussion. I will put the motion in two parts. All in favour? So we have two in favour and seven against. So it's lost. So then we come back to the foreshadowed motion, which is the motion as written in the business papers. Do you have a, Councillor Hayden, does you have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Councillor Trembar, Councillor Hayden.
Yes,
Give me a second.
from the Wake Show.
Pardon?
Just right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm happy to move that.
You got Councillor Trembar seconding it.
I'm happy to second it. We're spending a lot of time.
We are.
On something that someone said they were quite happy to give us some funds to make this go away. So let's move on.
All right. Any further discussion on this matter? Sorry, Councillor Tucker.
Yeah, well, I thought that was the idea of turning the previous one down. I'd like to move an amendment that the matter be deferred until the November meeting to allow further discussion with the applicant. Wasn't that what we were doing? No?
No.
In order to overcome the issue with the process.
Well, you can put an amendment if you've got a second.
Yes, well, I'm putting that amendment.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Connor, seconded. Right.
Maybe.
Yes. Right, so, yes, given that my previous motion had issues with the process, so this is just intended as a means to enable that suggestion of deleting that condition to be considered at the next meeting.
Councillor Connor,
I support that motion.
further discussion?
Me.
Councillor Tremor.
These people want to get this childcare centre opened. By deferring it, are we just, putting a roadblock in the way of something that's really needed within our community? They didn't ask for it. They've said they're happy to pay. And that's probably part of their reasoning for doing it. They just want this to go away. So getting a deferral to another meeting for us to talk about it, this is bringing back bad memories of when we talked about the colour of colour-bond roofs.
Yes.
So, I think we just need to move on.
Councillor Graham.
Mr Mayor, I agree. We shouldn't defer it because the community is crying out for this place to open. And we keep putting obstacles in the way. I don't think that'll help.
Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I agree. I think we need to get on with it. Simple reason that they just need to get on with it.
All right, so I put the amendment in two parts. All in favour? Councillor Tucker and Councillor Connor, and the remainder of councillors are against. So we go back to the original motion as on the business papers. Any further discussion? Councillor Hayden.
Put it.
Thank you. I was about to. We have the original recommendation that is on the books in three parts. I put the recommendation as written. All in favour? You can vote for it if you can vote for it. So, Councillor Tucker, yes, I think it's unanimous now.
No, that's again.
Oh, you're against, right? Okay, thank you. We've got that one. It's gone through. Thank you. After some lengthy discussion. 14, reports for information. The monthly activity report, the General Manager, October 2024. The recommendations of report 14.1 is received as information. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Hayden, a seconder. Councillor O'Connor, thank you. Councillor Hayden.
Thank you. Yes, I'm happy to move the report. Thank you, Mr. General Manager, for that report. I just have a bit of a tongue-in-cheek statement in regards to under training part C on page 208. It states good ideas put to use to staff attending the 4-day program to realise the potential of women's ideas and projects. So I'm wondering if we're ever going to have something that goes forwards to realise the potential of men's ideas and projects as well, because we're trying to get out of this whole sexist type conversation between men and women, and yet we're still doing it as people as such. Cert 3, customer service trainee. I just wanted to commend our trainee Kane on his completion of his traineeship. And I'd really like, as a councillor and as a community member, to see him retained through some grow your own position that we may possibly have down the track. It's been great having him out there in customer service role. He's been a real asset to council. Also, page 209, Good News Week newsletter stated in here. That was sent to councillors and staff on 2nd, 16th, 23rd, 30th, 6th, 13th, 20th and 27th. We're kind of not up to the 20th or 27th of October as yet, as noted in the business papers.
September.
September.
I think it was an error.
October, sorry, it says October, yeah.
It's an error.
Yeah. And where was it? The JRPP determination meeting on 10th of September. I do recall, I think Councillor Trembeth was in attendance for that by, that's the 10th of September, the JRPP modification to the quarry.
Oh, yeah.
I'm also an alternate on the JRPP, and I never got any notification in regards to that. I just wanted to bring that up because I don't know why, but yeah. And 2nd of October, the meeting with Corey DeMarco. I've also had an email from Corey, and I'm wondering how that planning matter was going.
Through the chair, it's progressing.
It's progressing. Okay. He did actually make a statement to myself that he commended the general manager on the information that you had given him, and he was very appreciative of that. So that's all I have to add.
All right. Councillor O'Connor, sorry, I think you seconded.
Yeah, no, I support the monthly activity report, General Manager, and no further comment.
Councillor Tremblay.
I just wanted to make a comment about the JRPP. Everything fell within the, whilst we were
Parameters?
election time, and so it was a very strange time for them to try and contact us. And then I did have the meeting whilst we were at pre-poll, and subsequently to that, they then had to try and get me to sign something, but I didn't have email then, so they had to come through my personal. So it was a very strange time. So that's the only reason that possibly we didn't get the notification of it.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Carr.
Just with Councillor Hayden's comment, the lady phoned me about attending the meeting. I declared an interest, and I highlighted to her, the lady that run, that Councillor Hayden was the alternate delegate, and Councillor Trembath was the delegate, and why she didn't contact Councillor Hayden has got me beat.
Right, okay.
I do know the lady's name if I hear it, but
She called, yeah, she telephoned me. So it was all telephone and very strange because we were in caretaker mode. So that's all the reason I can give that.
Right.
still no excuse.
I just, Councillor Tago.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one, assuming that was finished that discussion. One quick question, purely out of my own personal curiosity. Page 210, 26th of September, Ian Evans meeting. Is that the same Ian Evans that used to work there?
Yes, it is.
And what was that about?
It was a conversation between myself and the tech services director and myself about the potential for anything that could come up that he could assist us in,
I wondered if it might have been something like that.
in,
Thank you.
in doing some work for us.
Councillor Hayden.
I just wanted to thank Councillor McCarthy and Councillor Trembus for explaining that. I do recall back in prior to our incumbency, I did actually get an email to confirm that I would be available for a date going forward when they didn't have a date. So it's no issue, no great issue, but
Okay, there's no further discussion. I put the recommendation. All in favour? Thank you. You for it? Thanks. Passed unanimously. 14.2 is the monthly activity report, planning and development, August 2024 and September 2024. The recommendation is the report item 14.2 is received as information. Have a mover, please. Councillor Hayden. Seconder, please. Councillor Trembart. Councillor Hayden.
yes, thank you very much to our planning department for this report. I did want to bring up the issue on 2011, the Black Springs Recreation Ground Master Plan. There's just been a little bit of confusion around some payments there. I'm not sure whether our planning director has had email correspondence, but there may have to be some email correspondence with the BSCA, our corporate services director and our planning director due to a financial issue there.
All right, maybe you can address that directly after the meeting with the via email. Thank you. Second, Councillor Trembart, for it.
Yeah, thank you for the report, and I have nothing further. No questions.
Councillor, thank you. Councillor Connor.
Mr Mayor, I think I run this through you, don't I? Any questions regarding this report? It's just during the election process, there's two parts to this. Just a bit of information looking for, and then just on the report itself. During the election process, there wouldn't have, I don't think there would have been a question or discussions with the community more so than on this topic about DAs, and sometimes that, well, most of the information I was getting from community didn't seem right. You know, they get misinformation. So just DA process is fundamental to the council. It's fundamental to our community and also to the aspirations of our community and local business. So just in terms of the report you've got here on that page number 217, is that 33 DAs outstanding? Well, not outstanding, work in progress, and 8 completed, leaving 25. Is that what that report?
Yes, that's correct. Is it correct? Correct. 217. So
it's roughly about 33. Let's say 25 work in progress. Is that right?
217, that is correct. Sorry, through the chair, that's correct.
Yeah. So that'd be the total DAs under work in progress.
is that correct?
Through the chair, that's correct. That's correct. DA. Sorry, again, through the chair, there's also construction certificates, but that's DAs.
Yeah.
Subdivision certificates, construction certificates, compliant development certificates. Section 68, they're separate, they're only DAs.
This is only development applications.
So that to me doesn't, it doesn't create great alarm. I mean, because of the information from the community, I kept thinking, well, it's just a process. I mean, you know, if you're a little bit slow, you can always improve your process. There was a report, so then I guess because of the community's concerns, I got on the website and I got a development application assessment performance. And I sort of have trouble telling that to this. It's sort of saying that we're 177 days in duration to do a DA, as opposed to the average 105. But I thought, well, that just doesn't sound right.
Some DAs have also got to go to external organisations.
Yeah.
And I think we do it. It's the stop the clock is usually when we're requiring further information from the applicant.
No, I understand all that. I mean,
Yes.
we're just comparing council to council. And so it doesn't, I'm just trying to balance what the community's telling me and then saying maybe there's not an issue, or is there an issue?
So I think another place for this to be requested in sort of more details when we go through the induction.
Okay.
We're going to deal with the planning. So I think maybe we talk about it then, and then there will obviously be a meeting in November. So I think once we're all of us as council, or especially new council, more aware of the process, then it's probably easier to ask the question then. And I think that's a good idea. Sorry.
Through the chair, if you may, Mr. Mayor, I'm always available to discuss any of those. There's always two sides to the story. We have received from the department of planning recently that our average days are, I think, 125, not 179, and they've asked us to get them down below that. And I'll be putting that report to council for the next meeting.
That's excellent. That's what I was, you keep getting asked the question or told by community, and I think this doesn't sound quite right, but that's excellent. It's down to 125.
Yeah. So I think there'll be a relatively detailed discussion when we go through this introduction with your role on that. Sorry, any further discussion on this, madam? If not, sorry.
If I may, and dog companion, bloke that drives around, there seems little reporting here that we've got problems yet. Is there any reason why we're employing Saturday and Sunday?
Through the chair,
Through
the chair, the moment he's coming in to feed the animals in the pound and look after the pound, because we do have animals in the pound that need to be looked after.
I realise that, but doesn't the person come from George's Plains? Isn't there someone locally that could feed?
He come through the chair. He's just outside the boundary of Oberon.
Okay.
Get an alternate person to cover him on the alternate weekends and be successful.
Okay, all right. Okay. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Any further discussion? If not, I put the recommendation. All in favour? Thank you. We go to 14.3, which is the monthly activity report for technical services, October 2024. Recommendation is that report 14.3 is received as information. If a mover, please. Councillor Hayden, seconder, please. Councillor Trembath. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to move the recommendation to receive this report. I did offer my thanks to our director and staff in regards to some road work that I came across where it was really bad, and thankfully now it's all been repaired and it's very good to drive on, and everyone's very appreciative of that. One of the issues that I have come across and seen, and also had two residents on the Mutton Falls Road, was in regards to tree pruning. So I'm still a little bit iffy around the tree pruning. The aged ornamental conifers that were inside the boundary on the residence 2.3 kilometres west on Mutton Falls Road past Losemount Road. They're historic trees. They've been very severely hacked, and one of the residents is fearful that they may die. They're very old. They think older than 80 to 90 years. And the machine, that rubber type machine, has just literally hacked off half of the conifers, and it looks really terrible. All of the refuse from that is all strewn on the side of the road. So if anyone was to pull over, they are at risk of puncturing their tyres. I then had another inquiry from a gentleman down the road further who was a little confused as to why those trees were hacked and then radiator pine left on the other perimeter down a bit further. So I just wanted to bring that issue up. I'll send an
So if you could send
email
a detailed email to the director.
with the photographs and the detail of that, and the drainage and culvert maintenance. The Springmount Road one that's mentioned in here again, for August, September, the Springmount Road, did that have to get redone again, or is that the previous June, July replacement of that Springmount Road?
Sorry, I'll ask. Executive Services, do you know that or do you need to
Just
make
refer to the page number, please.
Oh, sorry, 225.
225?
Because I do recall Springmount Road culvert replacement, and that was done at the end of winter there when it flooded and the tree.
Thank you, through the chair. Thank you, councillor Hayden. I have to apologise. I was on leave when this report was
Okay.
finalised, so I need to investigate and get
Yeah.
back to you.
So the Technical Services Director will
Yeah.
get back to you on that.
Okay, thank you for that. No, nothing further.
Councillor Connor?
You missed it.
Oh, sorry, who was the second? Councillor Tremblay, sorry, apologies.
That's all right. Thank you for the report, and I just wanted to bring up, as we've got new councillors, and maybe it could be done in the induction, but we have a discussion about a roads tour again to familiarise everyone with the LGA and how extensive it is, and probably to get a good view of the roads that we do have are very well maintained compared to the areas in Lithgow and not so much Bathurst, but you know, the comparison. And it just, we have a lot of roads. It's a major part of what we do. And I think it would be great if the councillors could go on one of those tours. Yeah.
Noted, I think. Can you note that down? Thank you, Councillor Connor.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I had the same request. I was more thinking along the lines every month, 2 or 3 of us jump in a car. But they were the old days, so I think we've got to go through due process and reinstate the regular road tour.
Okay, that's noted. General Manager's going to look into it and we'll come back with some potential times, dates and whatever else can be done. Usually, I think we usually have 2 tours. One does one side and then leave it for a month or 2, and then we do the other side. So
It's only once every 6 months. Your eyes are looking very.
No, I'm just. That's fine. We got to pick everyone in one bus and speak about what we.
So before we move on, I'd just like to ask, any update on the smoke testing on page 226, 228? Have we resumed that, or is that found the way around?
Through the chair, good
Yes.
job. Answering, it's still in progress of reviewing their reviewed processes and documentation, so they have obliged for our requirements and updated their processes and sent it back through, which we are in the process of reviewing, distributing the final okay to come back. So I've asked the project engineer to prepare communication to the community so we get that out there before.
Yes.
We committed them to come back, so everyone knows what's expected. We can get that out there, and then we can arrange for a day to come back, meet on site to satisfy ourselves that we're happy with what's happening, and then they can go ahead. That's the plan.
And if I could, the second one, and it may be you or it may be the General Manager, on the reef toilet block. I know we've had excessive amount of huge amount of vandalism there on the block. Noting there are some events such as the Redfin, because I know Councillor Hayden will ask if I know. Have we got some interim measures we can put in place for that event if people are using that facility? I know that it's subject to insurance at the moment, or as an insurance claim. But do we have is there an interim, or are we able to use that block for the events coming up?
First of all, Mr. Mayor, thank you for giving me the opportunity to say how disappointed we all are with the vandalism that's occurred at the reef. Yes, it's currently insured, and as part of the Redfin roundup, we are bringing additional toilet facilities in to help accommodate for that. But yeah, look, it is extremely disappointing that staff, councillors, the community put their hard earned into trying to make a facility a great facility, which I believe it is.
It was, yes.
To then have it vandalised in the way that it was is very, very disappointing.
And costly.
We haven't got the cost yet.
No, but sorry, any further discussion? Sorry, Councillor McCarthy.
Yes, the tree pruning that took place on Lowesmount Road, there was a tree removed the other day with the machine from the Bathurst that had to be floated out. So there's massive cost to this. My understanding was to be done 5 or 6 years ago by Rowan Henderson, who was in a management position in council. When he was, before he went off with Saul's and then come back. His indication was he's going to get young Bell to push it out, Alex Bell to push it out. Thankfully, that tree's gone. But if you have a look at the tree to the north of that, there's a massive branch like this resting in the tree. And when you've got equipment that's coming out at the cost of what it would have, can't see why our staff wasn't looking around, because this branch will kill someone when it comes out of the tree.
All right,
It's on
well,
the
I'll
tree right next to one that they cut
all
down.
right, I'll ask the technical services director to have a look into that issue. If
Okay.
you were able to
I
identify
contacted
the
the
trade.
general manager and told him
Yep.
that it was there.
Well, just,
We've got to look at that.
okay, we
Just
identified
through
it.
the chair, it has been raised. We have forwarded it on to our staff to investigate. So it's not like it hasn't been dealt with.
Okay, so we'll we'll get back to council with what the response from staff is.
We just need to make sure what that is. I don't know what gear that we brought out many years ago to fix it to what we did.
This
It's only
was
recently, I think.
recently we cut it down. We had a machine floated out from Battis and they took it, chopped the tree down, probably the safest way you could do it.
Yeah.
But we should have been having a look around, taking advantage of that machine. Thank you.
Councillor Hayden?
Right of reply. Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor, for bringing up the reef toilet block. I was going to bring that up in a right of reply because it's a great event that we've got coming up. And another thing that I will look forward to is in November, if it's still on schedule for the detailed assessment around the playgrounds.
Yes. I think that's scheduled for November.
Thank
It's in
you.
the status report as being so. Okay. No further discussion. I put the recommendation. All in favour? Passed unanimously. We go to 14.4, which is the monthly activity report of corporate services for October 2024. The recommendation of the report item 14.4 is received as information. Mover, Councillor Hayden. Councillor Connor, is that your hand in the air? Oh, were you scratching? Sorry, I wasn't sure. You've got to be careful when you scratch it. Would you all happy to second it? Yes, thank you. Councillor Hayden.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm happy to move the recommendation to accept the report from corporate services. It's always a good report to read. The information technology upgrade to the fitness centre software, end of financial year staff training, the youth information evening. I did want to ask how that went with the new team member that's going to be leading that on. And I noticed by the picture there was some interest in there, and I would like to ask the corporate services director if I could have a little bit of an update around the youth information evening.
Okay, Director of Corporate Services,
Yes,
you can give it,
that's through the mayor.
elaborate on what's there. Yes.
Through the mayor, councillor, as you know, we've had some challenges in gathering youth for our existing youth council structure. We did an informal evening to try and grab youth as they were getting off the bus and those types of things, and we just trying to seek some feedback about what a youth council structure, what are their limitations. We've done this quite a few times, but we want to re-engage. One of the things that came from that is that they are looking for something that's a bit more dynamic, maybe not as structured as a youth council thing. They also highlighted that the age requirements in youth council may miss some of the primary school children, and that's definitely an area that we've been really successful in events. So we're going to do a follow-up meeting with this working group, and also have some direct meetings with the schools to try and figure out how we will take this forward with a recommendation, maybe something alternatives to the youth council going forward. So we'll give you some more feedback when we do the next one.
Great.
Yeah, 'cause it's half off.
And just continuing
Sorry.
on, sorry, I was just waiting for you
Yeah.
to finish, that's all. I noticed that we had work experience student in. I'm really pleased to see that kids are coming through council, especially Visitors Information Centre and even admin, wherever, and getting a bit of a feel of what local government is and council is. So that's really good. Small Business Month, I noticed that's this month. The Business and Development Australia's digital literacy thing, is that what's going to be occurring at the library?
Yeah, through the mayor, through the mayor, that's the event that's held at the library. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Has there been a lot of interest in regards to that?
yeah, I believe latest update with the Tourism and Economic Development Manager, there was about 29 ticks to RSVPs, which was really good. So that has allowed us to get some additional assistance from Biz HQ and things like that. So the response has been quite good so far.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Nothing further, Dave.
Thank you. Councillor O'Connor,
Oh, thanks, Mr. No, it's excellent report. No further comment.
anything further, councillors?
So I'd just like to thank Matty for doing the inspections on the independent living units. It's good to keep them up to scratch, and yeah, doing that keeps them up.
That's noted. Thank you, councillor McCarthy. No further discussion. I put the recommendation. All in favour? Thank you. Passed unanimously. We go to 14.5, which is investments for September 2024. The recommendation is the report item 14.5 is received as information. Can we move it, please? Councillor Tucker and Councillor McCarthy. Thank you. Councillor Tucker.
Happy with the report. No comments or questions. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor McCarthy.
Straightforward report. Thank you.
For new councils, I'll just note that where you see the investments, if it's allocated to a particular STP or the sewer fund, which is a different fund from the general fund, that's what the writing's. You probably picked that up, but I'm just explaining for your information. Okay, Councillor Hayden.
I just wanted to thank the Mayor for explaining that for new council's benefit. Thank you.
All right, no further discussion. I'll put the report and the recommendation. All in favour? 14.6 is the commensurate report, isn't it? 14.6 is the grants update for September 2024. The recommendation is that the report item 14.6 is received as information. Move it, please. Councillor Hayden, seconder. Councillor Trembar. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, firstly, I'll ask, have we had any most recent updates? If we do, what would they be?
General Manager, have we had any, or Director of Corporate Services, have we had any update?
Through the mayor, if your question just in regards to the bigger grant applications for the sewage treatment plant, not yet. That particular grant we're expecting any day, but we have seen that the grant authorities do have some slippage in their notification timeframes, but that one we are eagerly awaiting the outcome on. And nothing listed yet.
Even if it's outside a meeting, I'm assuming you'll circulate a quick note to councillors to advise as it's crucial. Thank you.
Emojis as well.
Councillor Hope, yes.
Thank you.
But nothing further.
Councillor Trimmer, thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Tucker, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of questions, if I may. On page 240, at the top, paragraph 3, it talks about New South Wales active grants. And I'm wondering if that grant would cover things like footpath connections and improving ramps for the disabled and things like that. I know we have a long-standing plan there of where those connections and improvements are needed. And we have some money in the legacy TI, but that's not going to be enough to get done all the areas that we need. So I'm just curious as to whether we could consider an application under that grant program to do some more of that work.
Well, I'll ask the Director of Corporate Services if you know the full criteria yet, and if you do, would any of that fall within those suggestions by Councillor Tucker?
Yes, through the mayor, absolutely, Councillor Tucker, we have submitted similar projects under that rounds before. One of the key components of the feedback that we received was that our strategic plans that guide those applications are dated, and that may be a limitation on our justification going forward. So at the moment, we were looking at potentially looking at reviewing some of those active transport plans to better give us better justification. But those types of projects we're also looking at, and particularly because there is some own expenditure in the TI, they may help us to fulfill that application. So
Maybe we could apply for a grant to update the plan.
That's exactly what we're.
So through the chair, that's exactly what we're looking at.
That's what
How we're
that's
looking at those types of initiatives.
Thank you. My second question is, and it's not actually in the report, going back to the July meeting, in the grants report, there was a program called Safer Local Roads and Infrastructure. And when we discussed it, I suggested that we look at the possibility of applying for Sills Creek Road causeway at Brisbane Valley Creek, because it appeared to me that that would fit within the criteria under that program. So I haven't seen any mention of that Safer Local Roads and Infrastructure since that time. I'm wondering, did we put in an application under that? And if so, what did we apply for? Because it's not mentioned in the list of applications.
No, through the mayor, it's not. We are still actively chasing that grant. The projects that you nominated or suggested are also part of another list that we're looking at, things that we have designed for in consultation with engineering. Looked at whether road slip, Shooters Hill, Campbell's River Road would also be applicable to the safer productivity requirements that grant is written to. So we are still working on that.
So that grant hasn't closed?
No, still open. We're still active, but we also need to ensure our justification around the safety and productivity are still there. So we're still progressing on that. So we hope to have an update
when
in October or November. I think that rolls out into the back end of next year. There's a couple of tranches for that program. So so we do still have some time, but yes, a lot of data that we're just gathering as to which one would be the best way forward.
Okay, thanks, mate. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Right, reply if there's no further questions.
Any other discussion? Yes, councillor Hayden.
I just wanted to add what councillor Tucker had mentioned regarding that Brisbane Valley Creek crossing on Sills Creek Road. That is a major crossing there that keeps going under, and then people cannot get to town or get out the other way because the other one goes up. So they're actually stuck there in the middle. So I'm hoping that we could eventually get something done that makes that that causeway higher, a bridge, something in replacement of it, because that went under, not this year, but I think last year it was 3 or 4 times.
From memory, I think someone has been washed off.
Yeah.
So I think I'll ask the general manager, but maybe at some time that we can investigate so that we're ready for a grant if something could do what would be appropriate. But through the general manager, the director of technical services, and so that if there was a grant come up, we at least have a plan.
Yeah, so through the chair, as the corporate service director said, there's a big push now for having an appropriate design and having all these. So council, in fact, spending their own money to get these things ready for it to be considered. What council has done, and one of the long-serving programs that councillors ask staff to look at, is the Campbell's River Road deviation, and we've spent a lot of money in getting that program ready, but we just haven't been able to have it supported, and that is basically making Campbell's River Road at the top end of Campbell's River flood free, which is significantly affecting traffic in that area. So like that, we would need to, in fact,
And we've got
look at a better strategy around how we, in fact, put our designs together for those types of things. But it is on our list.
all right. No further discussion. I'll put the recommendation. All in favour? Thank you. Passed unanimously. We go to 14.7, status of council resolutions, October 2024. Recommendations. Report 14.7 is received as information. If a mover, please. Councillor Hayden, seconder. Councillor Trembath. Councillor Hayden.
I did have a couple of quick questions on here. I just wanted to know, land at Glendware Avenue, that's been 18 months now. got listed down here again, 9th of the 10th, number of grant opportunities have presented. And then also the residential land development as well. I'd like to see something done to prioritise those and actually have them grant ready to submit straight through to the next available grant that may be coming along on in relation to that. Another.
So why don't we, so General Manager, have you got any comment on that?
I note the concerns with, it's one of those things that staff try and actively provide opportunities where we don't have to spend our own money to do a lot of these things, and that comes with time. But I don't disagree with the,
It's been going on for a while.
so, work has commenced. It's just a matter of getting it to that point where do we hit the go button rather than waiting for an opportunity for grant funding.
So, I mean, you could put a motion at the next meeting if you wanted to proceed, but noting or ask how much it's going to cost to proceed.
I just want to finish really quickly. The land at Black Springs and the Black Springs cell tower, has there been any further notification from Mr. G after the last meeting that was held with council and BSCA and the people involved? We asked the question last night at BSCA if there's been any progression with anything. Is it possible that you can give an update to BSCA and council, etc.?
Through the chair, the update is that council provided the telco with an appropriate piece of land where we believe that a structure could be constructed that removes it from any of the constraints that they were otherwise under. That information was provided to telco, and the telco were to go away and do their analysis on whether it works or not, and we're yet to receive anything.
So was there any feedback, because I recall from a conversation last night in the meeting that Mr. G was meant to confirm whether the grant is still current. Did he get that in writing?
No, not as far as we're aware.
Right.
We haven't been provided with it.
Okay.
I have asked for a number.
So is there any possibility of chasing that up?
Thank you.
Nothing further.
Councillor Trimber.
I'm taking up the mantle for you on this report. Item 11, I think we've got a merging of the common and the O'Connell shared pathway. So the action.
Sorry, council, what page?
Well, I'm in docs, I'm on page 18. So that's a bit different.
Yep, that works for me.
Yeah.
I have the technology.
Just item 11, 13th of the 8th, 24.
18.
So the item is the O'Connell shared pathway open tender request.
Yep.
But we've nominated the open tendering method, which is fine. But point 2 is approve the inclusion of the Oberon Common Curtis Street link footpath in the open tenders line. But is it included there with the detection of small amounts of asbestos? It's only referring to Curtis Street.
Correct.
That's
It's
right.
only you carry
And that's
it
why
out.
they were going to separate it out, I think.
We've made the decision to separate so it didn't constrain one of the projects.
Yeah. And the only other one, which we've already discussed in quite a lot of detail, was the Weeds Authority of how important it is to get that meeting happening as
Right.
fast as possible, because our spraying hasn't been completed. And my question is what's the window now that's closing that we will complete year 1, or is it all going to roll into year 2?
So I also may be able to, I asked the general manager, there was a meeting with general managers. Obviously no decisions were made in the, during the caretaker period. General manager of that meeting indicated the council is not in a position to make any further contribution given the current concerns raised by Oberon. All other councils, that's Blaney, Bathurst and Lithgow, have made the decision to provide additional funds and commit to a 4-year program rather than 3. Actually, that was Lithgow and Bathurst.
Yeah.
Blaney is still continuing as current with a 3-year
So
program.
they're happy.
They're happy. So the other councils decide to go to a 4-year program. So I got that in. I asked the general manager to give me an update of where we got to with that. So they're doing a 4-year program over their roads. So that's an option.
That's not really ideal though, is it? 'Cause
No,
meant
it's
to
not
be a
ideal.
3-year program.
I know from personal experience, I find 3 years optimum.
Yeah.
But and I've indicated that. So that on that one, that was the update there. The other one, so anything further?
No, it was just, it's a matter of urgency and now that's where my question was, are we rolling into 4 years? And that's not ideal because how do we catch it up to make sure that we get.
So that's, I think, what the new delegates
Mm.
and the general manager
Yep.
will have to make that decision. And that's why I think it's quite urgent, especially in relation to that one, that we get our delegates in place. Thanks.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like just to follow on those comments that, I mean, roadside weed spraying, I mean, as a farmer, I spend 15 to 20% of my time weed management. It's roadsides are the first thing tourists see. It's crucial to our economy to make them tidy, to make them presentable. At the moment, it would just, from an observation as a farmer, there's been little or nothing done for the last 12 months. A lot of farmers in my area now having to do that themselves, but they're doing the ones that are just crucial, not the likes of blackberries, etc. Some of them are. Recently, I witnessed, or didn't witness, I noticed, or that my road, one of my roads that I'm on, they were mulching black water. Like, spent a lot of money. I don't know if it was the Upper Macquarie or.
It's the council.
No, you don't mulch black wattle. And so now what's happening, if you go out my road, it's just gone prolific. And then what happens is people are hitting roofs, there's accidents happening. So there just seems to be incorrect, some of the applications are incorrect, and then also chemical use. I can see that the chemical use and application is incorrect when it has happened. So I just think it seems broken to me. And just going back, we've had 2 or 3 wet years now. We're in the middle of another wet year. They're saying extreme, wet summer. I mean, we've really got to get on top of this very, very shortly.
It's really a budget issue. That because of the wet years, the amount of weed has the intensity and the amount, and you will know from your own property how much the costs have gone up in spraying.
But there hasn't been anything done for the last 12 months.
There has. There's been quite a lot,
Well,
but
maybe if you come back to us with
we can come back to that, yes.
in the Oberon Shire.
But it's all a question of cost and the program. There's a 3-year program put in place, but the cost has gone up dramatically. I can give you, if you go back and look at, we can give you the papers from previous meetings.
In August.
In August report, yes, which will give you the whole detail, and some previous meetings from that. So we'll provide those to you. And we can provide all new councils if you'd like. I think that's pretty good. So, yeah. So point
through the mayor and also more part of our induction process. The things that you've said are pretty much things that we have been saying because we are part of an authority that we're engaged with to manage these types of things. We value add it with a roadside inspection program through that authority. Council even supplements it through its own additional funds that we put towards dealing with our verges and the like. But the questions you ask are the ones that we've been asking, which is why a strong message needs to be provided back to the authority.
I guess what worries me most, I wrote to them back in March 2024. I received, you forward that on, I received a reply which was totally inappropriate. And on further investigation of the Upper Macquarie, I just shook my head in disbelief of what they're doing. That was my opinion. I might be completely wrong.
Yep.
I might be completely
wrong. Fine. I think also, General Manager, we just give it the curb and gutter, which was 24,321, and smoke testing. I think you said that has been the technical services has been put on hold until that has been resolved.
Correct.
Is there any update on the MOU and the material from the O'Connell Cricket Club?
Through the chair, we're just finalising that and we brought back to November.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Tucker?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One question, page 249, the Oberon curbside garbage collection. When we had our workshop just before the election, I asked a question about could we just look at, is it feasible, is it possibly cost effective to bring that service in-house? It may be that we can't get anywhere near matching tenderers prices, but I just asked if we could at least look at whether we're even close. I was wondering if we have looked, or if not, could we have a look before we award the tender?
Through the chair, it's things that we're always looking at to see if we can evaluate that. We don't have a machine.
No, I would be happy to buy a
We don't,
machine.
yeah, we don't have staff or any of those types of things. We'll bring the tender back to you for consideration in November, and you'll have a good understanding of what those numbers are. But what I will do is provide what it would be like if it was to be brought in-house and what
That's
that
what I
would
was
look like.
asking, and it might be double what the tender would say, but at least it shows that we've looked at it.
Yeah, and I think that what also needs to be considered is if you go down the path, the long-term strategy rather than just the one-off. So it needs to be looked at in context.
Yeah, and I think it should, possibly is, and certainly should be part of our normal practice anytime there's a tender, to think, well, could we do it in-house cheaper or better? Anyway, that's a general.
We'll always do that.
Okay, anything further on this report? Sorry.
It's
Councillor
back to
Carr.
Windermere Avenue. I thought I seen a report that we've assessed the 2 bits of equipment in there, if they don't comply. I'm just wondering, due to our status, why we don't just remove them 2 bits of playground equipment?
Through the chair, we have a resolution to bring a report back to council in regard to the risk assessment that's been undertaken. Council resolved for us to do that, so that's why we were doing it.
What I'm getting at is if we're not going to use it as a park, why not remove that equipment and not do the risk assessment? Because we've agreed that we want to sell that block or utilise that block and not as a park. So we've got our staff running around assessing those 2 bits of equipment.
Through the chair, I think it'll be self-evident when you see the report that's come back, how much assessment was undertaken
The
on that.
report's coming back in November, isn't it?
That's not what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
A site that has got 2 bits of equipment, we've agreed that we're not going to use it as a park, why not just remove that equipment? And then save the assessment time.
Maybe not comes back in the assessment, but anyway.
Okay.
Councillor Hayden.
If Councillor McCarthy's finished, yeah, just write a reply and regarding Glendore Avenue, that block with that playground, I recall the resolution we made in 2022 from memory was that the equipment on that block was going to be removed and relocated to another park, and then we were going to do as what our resolution was put. I think that is one of the issues that Councillor McCarthy's probably mentioning, because I did bring it up when the playground report was first put, and it had that playground actually listed, and that we'd already made a pre-resolution regarding that prior. That was all, and nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you. I put the recommendation, all in favour? Unanimously. We go to 14.8, road name proposal activity. 15th August 2024, Bill Plough Drive, rejection of notification. The recommendation, the report item 14.8 is received as information. Move it, please. Yes.
My motion would be retaining that it's received as information and then adding a point number 2, that council write to the Borough and District Community Association to advise them of the decision of the Geographic Names Board and seeking their advice about whether they favour naming another piece of infrastructure in honour of Mr. Clower.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Yes.
So I note that in the report it did mention that council may consider naming another piece of infrastructure around Burriga after Mr. Clower, and that was my immediate thought when I heard that the road naming had been rejected. And I spoke to Mick McKechnie yesterday because it was he who first put this suggestion forward about renaming the section of road. And he got back to me later and said, yes, he believes the association would support changing it to a different piece of infrastructure. And the suggestion was the park opposite the shop, because Mr. Clower was involved with the rotunda and the gates. And that would be a way to still honour Mr. Clower without the issue of the road name.
Thank you. Councillor McCarthy.
Yes, I support that, but I'd like to see whether the community would also consider the recreation ground up there as well as the park.
Yes, and it doesn't mention the park. The association could come back and suggest what they think would be appropriate.
So, Councillor Hayden.
I'd like to also move an amendment to the amendment, if I may. I agree with writing to the BSCA and the Burriga community. I would also like to add, if there would be any suggestion of writing to forestry and asking them if they would like to delete the name of the Bill Clower Road in the forestry and calling it something else. I think that was a conversation that was had at one time.
So is that going to be a third point, or is that going to be an amendment?
Through the chair, just through the chair, in the report, Group Geographical Names Board have indicated that they don't recognise they also don't recognise the roads in the forest. So it wasn't an issue that we originally thought it could be.
All right.
Doesn't mean it won't be.
Could I just add a third point that states, get further advice from the Burriga community, just in general.
Well, I think that's what's said to you there. So I think we sit with the alternative.
Leave it there.
Any further discussion? I was only going to make the point that I think there's a BDCA meeting on Thursday. I was going to raise this while I was there. That may be pre the letter or post the letter. I'm not sure at this stage, but it was in the thrust of what Councillor Tucker and Councillor McCarthy put forward anyway.
I'd just like to say I support it. It speeds up the process and puts it back into the community to let them decide what they would like to do to recognise Billy Clower. That's right. Good amendment.
Any further discussion? Are you happy with the recommendations as written, or the alternate recommendations?
Yes, I'm happy with that.
Councillor McCarthy? All right. I put the recommendations 1 and 2. All in favour? Passed unanimously. Thank you. Item 15 is urgent business. There is no further business. Item 16, closed session confidential reports. There is no confidential business. The time is 8:44. I declare 8:23, sorry, 8:23. Bem, I declare that the meeting is closed. The next ordinary meeting of the Oberon Council will be held on Tuesday, the 12th of November 2024, commencing at 5:30 p.m. in the Oberon Council Chambers, 137 Oberon Street, Oberon. I thank all councillors for attendance and the general public. Thank you very much.
And we're still on there today. Yeah, I know. Where were the netball courts?